Hi, everybody. Nice to see you again. They call me East Coast Pete. Looks like rock is saved, people. Thanks to Todd Rundgren. Another boomer. Todd was born in 1948 as singer-songwriter, instrumentalist, and producer, and has performed a wide variety of music, both as a solo artist and as a band member. Known as unorthodox, his flamboyance as a frontman was hard to miss, and his talent for original melodies is legendary. Todd is a native of Philadelphia, where he began his musical career with the Nazz, a psychedelic band on the East Coast at a time when the hippie scene was mostly in California. Todd was the principal songwriter. The Nazz opened for The Doors in 1967. Their best-known single was Open My Eyes, backed with Hello, It's Me. The band's name was taken from a Yardbirds song, The Nazz Are Blue. 3 albums went out, and Todd decided to go solo. His first hit was We Gotta Get You a Woman, which is a pretty song, but I always wanted to know why Roy Boy couldn't find a woman on his own. They're everywhere. The album, Something Anything, went in '72. It was produced in Los Angeles, New York City, and at Bearsville Studios in Woodstock. 3/4 of the album was all Todd overdubbed. The rest was live in the studio. Here's the songs. Number 1, I Saw the Light. It's all so crisp. Todd knows how to work that board. 2, It Wouldn't Have Made Any Difference. Just immaculate production. 3, Wolfman Jack. No cameos, please. Todd is God, not Alfred Hitchcock. Not sure what I meant by that. 4, Cold Morning Light. It mimics AM Top 40 from sometime in yesteryear. 5, It Takes 2 to Tango. Swirling, shalala, Philly sound. And then 6, Sweeter Memories. Full, very full, kind of a song. It's not sparse at all. Lush. The intro, Todd does no filler, but he does do novelty. 8, Breathless. Pop, aggregate, kitchen sink included, instrumental. 9, The Night the Carousel Burnt Down. It's Asbury Park-like. 10, Saving Grace, another full one. It's full of grace. 11, Marlene. Prettiest I've ever seen at 17. 12, Song of the Viking. This is a novelty song about pillage and spoils and etc. 13, I Went to the Mirror. It's kind of like a piano mishmash. 14, Black Mariah. This is the best track. Everyone's favorite. 15, One More Day. No word. It's a waiting song. 16, Couldn't I Just Tell You? This is another Black Mariah. And that's a good thing. 17, Torch Song. Barry Manilow. Barry Manilow. Oh, it's a Barry Manilow-like Rundgren song. Sounds like Barry Manilow. 18, Little Red Lights. Isn't this Runt? Side 4, Baby Needs a New Pair of Snakeskin Boots. This is a pop operetta. Overture, Money, Berry Gordy, and Messing with the Kid, Mel London. 2, Dust in the Wind, Mark Klingman. No, it's not that Dust in the Wind. It's the other one. 3, Piss Aaron. He would always piss in the hall anytime nature would call. 4, Hello, It's Me, radio 1,000 times, more or less. 5, Some Folks is Even Whiter Than Me. I guess that's a novelty song. 6, You Left Me Sore. Thor, I Can't Even Walk. 7, Slut. She may be a slut, but she looks good to me. Rock is sexist. It is. I'm going to jump ahead to 1973 with A Wizard, a True Star, also known as a pop songs on acid. Make that shrooms. 1, International Feel. And now this is my favorite Todd Rundgren album. And it is trippy. But also glam. It's trip glam. Or glam trip. Or playing basketball in platform shoes. 2, Never Everland. It's like a Wizard of Oz side trip, but can he put any more reverb on the piano? I think that's doubtful. 3, Tick, 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 It Wears Off. Fun, instrumental, leads into a punky You Need Your Head. It's harsh, like an atomic fusion a little. Rock and Roll Pussy, harsh like chaos. 6, Dog Fight, giggle, sounds effects. Rundgren, to coin a phrase. 7, You Don't Have to Camp Around, makes me sad, like a homophobe, narrow-minded, too much too soon, I don't like change. And 8, Flaming Synth, Sith, Slink, Skink, Leon Spinks. What else can go in that one? I don't know. Number 9, Zen Archer. A bird dies in this one. It's very hard to take this seriously, but it's so original. 10, Just Another Onion Head. This is about Salvador Dali, Groucho Marx, John Lennon, Jonathan Richman, and Richard Nixon all balled into one amazing song. 11, When the Shit Hits the Fan. Earthquake in New York City. Chrysler Building fell in my yard. But when the shit hits the fan, I'll make my way back to Sunset Boulevard. 12, LA Feel International. And there's always more. 13, Sometimes I Don't Know What to Feel. This is piano brilliance. Harkens back to Something Anything. 14, Does Anybody Love You? I really like the drums. 15, medley of Motown hits. I'm So Proud by Curtis Mayfield, Ooh Baby Baby by Smokey Robinson, La La Means I Love You, and Cool Jerk, Donald Storeball. 16, Hungry for Love. Denny's is open late. 17, I Don't Want to Tie You Down, that is, unless you want me to. 18, Is It My Name? This is my favorite track. How I Want My Todd today, because he plays his guitar in such a madcap way. 19, Just One Victory. The end. Go back to Jersey. Rick Derringer appeared on Wizard. Edgar Winter does not. Todd Rundgren organized the first interactive television concert in 1978, along with the first interactive album, No World Order, in 1994. In 1983, his single Bang the Drum All Day was used at many sports arena shows. Rundgren also produced for Badfinger, Grand Funk, the New York Dolls, and Meatloaf, and XTC. As a Philly kid, Todd was influenced by the soul music of Gamble and Huff, the Delphonics and the OJs, also by the operettas of Gilbert and Sullivan. Later, he was into the Beatles and the Stones and the Ventures and the Yardbirds. I imagine that the Ventures version of Dazed and Confused is in here somewhere. The Ventures version. After high school graduation, Todd moved to the inner city and played with a band called Woody's Truck Stop to almost immediate success in Philly. Todd was bluesed out, so he formed Nas to play more in the style of British invitation bands like The Who. Atlantic gave Nas a 3-album deal. The first album, Nas, was first produced by Bill Trout, who whipped through the mixes in 2 days. Todd would go to the mixing board with no experience, and he decided to remix his album, learning how to engineer sound in the process. Rundgren was further influenced by the music of Laura Nyro, with its major 7th chords and variations on augmented and suspended chords. Todd tried to add a jazzier feel to the Nas, became domineering in the band, and frustrated by Atlantic paring down the Nas's second album from a double album to a single album. Atlantic also managed to withhold production recognition. Todd left, and the band released the rest of Todd's work as Nas 3. Todd would then educate himself further with music, engineering, and production. He relocated to New York. He signed with Albert Grossman and Bearsville Records as an artist and also as a producer for others. His work in the studio with Janis Joplin was a disaster. Janis was a diva, an addict, and a free radical, loose cannon. Todd was meticulous. The idea was good on paper, but Todd was detailed and almost neurotically serious about the music. So what could go wrong? Later, the production was taken over by Paul Rothchild, who took the incomplete session tapes and cobbled together the album Pearl. which was released posthumously after Joplin's well-chronicled death. An introduction to the brand spanking new 27 Club, musicians should have to pass a piss test. Todd worked with Robbie Robertson and soon after for the Paul Butterfield Blues Band. Thought you'd left the blues back in Philly, Todd? The band's album Stage Fright was recorded at the Woodstock Playhouse. In the house was Patti Smith, who wrote glowing reviews of Todd's work, and the two have been friends ever since. Patti's Wave album was produced by Todd. His production work continued, plus he formed the band Runt in 1970. Hunt and Tony Sales, teenage sons of Soupy Sales, were with him. As to whether Runt was a trio or a RUNGREN solo project is a point of conjecture. And RUNGREN would abandon the Runt trio idea on Something Anything, and he relied on studio musicians for The Wizard, which seemed to explore every trick in the book of effects and synths, and synthesizers were really not even yet common. The backup musicians for Wizard would become the first version of Utopia. The album, Todd Rundgren's Utopia, was a prog rock effort featuring multiple keyboards, similar to what bands would do in the 80s, but the first Utopia was released in 1974. It's pre-punk, pre-sampling. You could call it glam rock, as Todd would certainly dress the part, but other glam rockers did not have Todd's ability in the studio, so Utopia was unique. 1. Utopia. This is certainly space rock, space prog, but the usual drums, bass, guitar, keyboards, no synth at this point. Oh, there it is. And it's live. 2. Freak Parade. It's jazz like John McLaughlin, but less out there. I don't think these are circus freaks, more like slightly futuristic freaks, funky freaks, disco glam freaks with afros and aviator glasses. Number 3, Freedom Fighters. This is melodic prog. What are you marching about? Yo-ho! I don't even know. 4, The Icon, 30 minutes of Todd prog. Guitar pyrotechnics, but melodic rather than pure flash. Todd would be considered one of our best guitarists, but he was overshadowed by his own other talents. Also, in 74, the album Todd continued in the vein of The Wizard. Originals A Dream Goes On Forever and Heavy Metal Kids both became concert staples. And then Todd continued prog with Utopia's Initiation in 75. Far Eastern religion and philosophy in the lyrics and psychedelic jazz fusion showed the influence of John McLaughlin and Frank Zappa. A treatise on cosmic fire clocked in at 35 minutes. In 1996, Todd did an about-face and returned to the pop rock genre with Faithful, featuring one side of new songs and the other side covers, including one happening 10 years time ago. That's a Jeff Beck song. This is the Yardbirds. The Beckbirds, a faithful rendition right down to the Jimmy Jeff lead solo. 2, Good Vibrations, Brian Wilson. It sounds very, very close to the original. Might be Brian's best song, arguably. 3, Rain, Lennon and McCartney. Now this one lacks the Beatles' subtlety. Todd's flexing his imitator muscles complete with backwards vocals over the top. 4, Most Likely You Go Your Way and I'll Go Mine. It's Bob Dylan. All You Need is a leopard skin pillbox hat. I do get tired of Dylan vocal imitation, no matter how honorific. 5, If 6 Was 9. That's a Jimi Hendrix song, but it does lack Jimmy's menace. I do like the guitar solo. It's nothing like Jimmy. It's all Todd. 6, Strawberry Hills Forever. Another Lennon and McCartney. It lacks John's angst, his poetic self-effacing element. Now, Todd likes himself. John Lennon, not so much. Just 4 guys on this one, with Todd on guitar and vocals, Roger Powell on trumpet, keys, and rhythm guitar, John Siegler on bass and cello, and John Wilcox on drums. And then the next album is called A Hermit of Mink Hollow. Todd moved to Woodstock, bought a house. In 1977, Utopia released Raw to support the album. Rundgren utilized his most outlandish stage show to date. The concert would begin with Todd and the band playing some pop songs as a typical pop combo. But after this, a curtain was drawn back to reveal a 30-foot tall pyramid ladder that Todd would climb and play an ankh-shaped guitar at the summit, while a 20-foot golden sphinx with flashing red eyes came forward. The band doing their prog best anthems. It was pretty out there. If you're gonna go big. Rock as spectacle. Ra is Styxian, but not Mr. Roboto. No, not that. Utopia then became pop with Oops, Wrong Planet in 77, The Adventures in Utopia in 80, and after backing Sean Cassidy on a solo album, Rundgren dismantled Utopia in the mid-80s. The Hermit of Mink Hollow was a solo effort. Can We Still Be Friends went to number 29 in the US, and Todd decided to skip the arenas for a while. Playing small venues such as the Bottom Line in New York City and the Roxy in LA, joining him were Edgar Winter, Spencer Davis, Hall & Oates, and Stevie Nicks. I knew that Edgar would show up eventually. Todd ended up with the Gibson SG that Eric Clapton had played with Cream. The guitar had been decorated by The Fool. Not Clapton, it's the name of the group of artists who specialize in psychedelic painting. Todd had the guitar lacquered to protect the paint and proceeded to tour with it. Rundgren scored several episodes of Pee-wee's Playhouse. After a long absence from touring, Todd joined Ringo Starr's All-Stars. Todd has severed his connection with record labels. He now provides new music to subscribers on his website and small independent labels. Collaborations include Alan Parsons, John Entwistle, Ann Wilson, David Pack of Ambrosia, Jack Bruce. Hey, I recognize that guitar. Mark Farner, Christopher Cross, and Eric Carmen. He toured with Joe Jackson in 2004 and 2005, he became involved in the New Cars without Ocasek or Benjamin Orr, who had died. The New Cars toured with the reformed Blondie. And then, in 2017, White Knight album with Trent Reznor, Joe Walsh, and Donald Fagen. What's next, Todd? Thanks for being with me on Rock is Saved. See you next time. I hope you come back.